Welcome to Cinema Bites, your go-to for movie recaps in a flash. Big twists, epic moments, all in just minutes. The movie begins during working hours. The employees of an aquarium in California notice that the sea creatures are acting strangely and begin to wonder if they have been infected by some microorganism that is causing this sudden change in behavior. Seeing the octopus swimming from side to side at high speed, Dr. Karen begins to worry that it might break the glass in the aquarium, so she injects the animal with a tranquilizer in an attempt to sedate it. However, the substance is unable to stop the octopus, which uses its tentacles to strike the veterinarian and then attacks the other two employees. The Shining Sea Aquarium is one of the largest marine life sanctuaries on the planet. It was built with the aim of housing as many exotic species as possible and educating people about the importance of protecting the environment. Among the researchers working for the company is Miranda Riley, a scientist specializing in the study of marine life. During her research, the woman reports that she found some lesions in the heart of Hannah, one of the dolphins living in the aquarium. The woman suspects that Hannah perished of heart failure, probably caused by an infection, as the animal's body tissues deteriorated very quickly. Suddenly, Joe shows up at the lab to remove the remains of the materials used in the research, and Miranda informs him that instead of disposing of the organic material, they will have to recycle it. Despite knowing that this is not the safest option, Miranda and Joe have to follow the orders sent from their superiors. So, instead of discarding the dolphin parts, Joe will have to use them to feed other animals living in the aquarium. That morning, Daniel, another aquarium employee, receives a call from Ellen, and the woman asks him if he has destroyed all the medicines he received from his pharmaceutical company. So the man claims that all these drugs were taken by the company that handles the logistics. Upon hearing this, Ellen begins to worry that those medicines should be destroyed. At that moment, Miranda appears and says that the woman can rest, assured that the members of her team have been instructed to correctly execute a protocol for disposing of those products. When asked why she was so worried, Ellen reveals that there was an incident at Eden Zoo, and one of the animals that was tested with that drug had a serious adverse reaction. Therefore, all the medicines in that shipment need to be destroyed so that there is no risk of any more animals being contaminated. After confirming that the logistics company will dispose of the products, Daniel hangs up the call and says he has to go feed the sharks. That day, Skylar goes for a visit to the aquarium and gets some gifts, as it's his birthday. One of his greatest dreams is to see a shark up close, so Daniel decides to help him make this dream come true. While throwing some fish into the tank, the employee reveals that they are makos, one of the fastest and most powerful shark species in the world. According to him, these sharks have 12 serrated teeth in their upper jaw and 11 teeth in their lower jaw. Therefore, the chances of surviving being attacked by one of these predators is almost zero. While Daniel accompanies Skylar through the different departments of the Shining Sea Aquarium, Miranda receives a visit from Senator Blackburn and reveals that she needs to talk to him about some of the aquarium's demands that need to be met as soon as possible. After almost being wiped out by the giant octopus, Dr. Karen tries to communicate with Clue to ask her to come to the veterinary ward urgently. During the conversation with the senator, Miranda says that the facility needs some repairs and infrastructure upgrades, as it hasn't received any new technology in over a decade. According to the scientist, the aquarium needs a new heating and cooling system for all the cabinets, as well as updated water toxicity sensors. The animal safety mechanisms are also outdated, as the sales of visitor tickets and direct donations that the aquarium receives only serve to maintain the basic expenses of the facility. Miranda asks for Blackburn's help in getting funding from sponsors and corporate partnerships to improve the quality of life of the animals living there, since he is the CEO and president of the facility. However, the senator is very busy running for a second term and says he can pay attention to the building needs at the moment. Upon meeting Karen, Clue discovers that a giant octopus has attacked and eliminated 2 employees and then fled through the pipelines, which need to be closed before it escapes. The problem is that each vent needs to be turned off manually, and this means that it's not possible to close all the ducts at once. Worried that there might be another attack, Clue contacts Christy and asks her to sweep every room to see if she can find him. At that moment, Joe is in the laboratory about to collect Hannah's body when he notices the presence of goo left by the escaped octopus. The cleaner then bends down to clean up the residue when he realizes that the dolphin has woken up and ends up being attacked by her. While walking through the aquarium, Karen comes across Miranda, who is still in the company of Blackburn and his assistant, and reveals that she has been attacked by the octopus. She explains that the animal suffered some post-operative complications and had a cardiac arrest. Minutes later, it woke up and began to show aggressive behavior. After eliminating Hyde and Price, The animal crawled into the ducts and could be anywhere in the building. Upon hearing this, Miranda says that they need to close all the exits to start the lockdown protocol. Then Karen reveals that that octopus is probably infected by some pathogen that revived it after the cardiac arrest. It is therefore capable of contaminating other species and eliminating all living beings present in the facility. Suddenly, the sea creatures inside the tanks start attacking the walls and manage to break the glass. So the group has to flee to avoid being hit by the flood. When she realizes that the security alarm has gone off and all the doors are about to close automatically, Christy decides to run outside while there is still time and informs them that she will ask the police for help. However, along the way, she comes across a zombie crocodile and ends up being attacked. Hearing the alarm going off, Daniel tries to enter the building to find out what's going on and realizes that the doors have been locked. At this point, Skylar calls the police for help and informs them that a possible fire is taking place at the Shining Sea Aquarium. However, Daniel reveals that they are in lockdown, which means that one of the tanks has most likely been compromised. The problem is that, as all the doors are locked, no one can get in or out of the building, not even the police. Worried about the other aquarium employees, Miranda contacts Clue, and the woman reveals that she is on her way to the control room to try to release the doors manually. The problem is that all that water caused a short circuit in the circuit breakers, and some systems are no longer working. When she arrives in the control room, Clue sees the goo left by the octopus and realizes that the animal has been there recently. While she tries to get the computers working again, Miranda checks that the way is clear and guides her group to the nearest exit. However, along the way, they come across the crocodile that has devoured Christy and have to hide to avoid becoming the next prey. When the animal leaves, Miranda and her group get up to continue their mission to reach the exit, but they end up being detected by the crocodile and have to run for cover. Meanwhile, two firemen arrive at the building and see no sign of smoke coming from inside, so they conclude that the fire warning was a false alarm. Nevertheless, the pair decide to take a look around the facility, and, while trying to enter the building, Daniel and Skylar come across a giant crab. The animal jumps on Daniel and manages to knock him down, so Skylar quickly grabs the axe and uses the handle of the tool to throw the crustacean far away. After helping the employee to his feet, Skylar ends up being attacked by another crab that jumps on his face, but this one is smaller than the previous one, so he manages to get rid of it on his own. After almost being devoured by the crocodile, Miranda and the senator decide to change their escape strategy and are on their way to the control room when they come across countless starfish walking towards them. To avoid the attack, the group begins to crush them, but Karen ends up being knocked down and, after helping the woman up, they decide to flee. While hiding in a room, Beth notices that there are two starfish stuck in Karen clothes, so the woman immediately removes her coat and crushes the creatures. Just like octopuses, starfish can release toxins that harm humans, so the vet says they need to stay away from them, as the pathogen that infected them is making its toxins even more potent. At this point, Blackburn asks what is happening to the animals in the aquarium, and Miranda explains that they have turned into zombies because the octopus that was infected escaped and managed to spread the pathogen that contaminated it to the other animals. Therefore, the most sensible decision is to go where there is no water, so the senator suggests that the group climbs onto the roof to ask for help. But before trying this new plan, Miranda contacts Clue to ask if the way to the roof is clear and discovers that access there is also blocked by the locking mechanism. When they finally manage to enter the building through the engine room, Daniel and Skylar look for a bathroom to clean their wounds and suddenly hear the sound of sirens while he's walking through the pipes. In an attempt to escape the animals, the pair decide to climb the stairs to get to the aquarium. However, when they finally reach the top floor, Daniel reveals that he's not feeling well and feels like he's going to faint at any moment. As he has lost a lot of blood, the man is weakened. So Skylar asks him to rest for a while before continuing his escape and hands him a bottle of water so that Daniel can hydrate himself. After helping the employee to bandage his wounds, Skylar follows him around the aquarium looking for the rest of the team working there. Meanwhile, the firefighters continue their investigation around the building and suddenly spot a crocodile walking around freely. Immediately, Schuster contacts the base to ask for help in capturing a wild animal that is threatening people's lives. At this point, the man is ordered to wait for animal control to arrive, but refuses to stand by while people are being attacked. As they walk through the aquarium, Daniel spots one of the octopus's tentacles sticking out of the vent and attacks it with his axe. After cutting the creature, the two guys try to run, but end up surrounded by the crocodile and have to flee to the other side. As they don't know where the octopus is, the vets can't predict its next steps and are taking a risky gamble. In an attempt to turn the game in their favor, the group decides to go back to the veterinary ward to get Karen's cell phone. This way, they can call the police to let them know what's going on, as well as follow the octopus's trajectory via the tracking tag. The problem is that the path to get there is completely flooded, so Miranda has the brilliant idea of opening one of the ventilation doors and crawling through the ceiling to get to the Marine Science Gallery. While crawling through the ceiling, the senator realizes that Karen has disappeared, and Miranda reveals that she has taken a different path and will meet them in the gallery. When the trio finally reach their final destination, they meet Karen and soon realize that the room is full of zombie crabs. They quickly flee and come across Daniel, who destroys those monsters with his axe. After the predators have been eliminated, Karen informs them that the veterinary ward is just around the corner and runs to get her cell phone. When she gets there, the woman realizes that the place has been invaded, and Miranda despairs at the sight of Joe's body, which has perished after being bitten on the neck. At that moment, Karen finds a syringe on the floor identical to the one she used on the octopus and says that the drug needs to be studied in a laboratory because it's what's turning the animals into zombies. Analyzing the label, Miranda discovers that the medicine came from Eden Zoo, and despite the disposal order, Daniel hasn't gotten rid of them. Furious, Miranda decides to confront him, but the employee claims that it is impossible for that substance to have been responsible for creating an army of zombies. In his defense, Daniel claims that he sent the medicines for disposal, just as Dr. Ellen asked, but some syringes must have been forgotten and got mixed up with the other medicines that were in stock. After retrieving her cell phone, Karen tries to log into the app to find the octopus's location, but can't access the facility's internet signal. Concerned for the safety of the survivors, the firemen look for a way to break into the building, and Schuster manages to get the elevator to work. While his colleague takes the elevator, Smith climbs the stairs and has no idea that, in the meantime, Schuster will be attacked by the giant octopus hiding in the ceiling. The man narrowly manages to press the button to open the door and gets out of the elevator unharmed. While Miranda and Karen look for a way out, Blackburn talks to Daniel about the sabotage plan he was paid to carry out. His mission was to sabotage the veterinary clinic so that the Shining Sea Aquarium would have to close its doors. So instead of sending the bad drugs for disposal, the man mixed the damaged batch with the stable drugs. What he didn't imagine was that the substance would turn the animals into zombies. While searching for a way out, the group comes across a walrus walking through the corridors and decide to change their route, but end up being surrounded by the crocodile. When cornered, Skylar panics and decides to attack the walrus, but ends up being easily knocked down by the animal, which hits the young man in the abdomen with its pointed tusks. While observing the animals, Karen realizes that they can't see, so she orders everyone to be quiet and uses the sound of her cell phone as bait to attract the zombies' attention. Minutes later, the survivors finally manage to find the exit, but the door is locked and they can't get through. Just then, Miranda receives a call from Clue, and the woman reveals that she has managed to fix the security cameras and the aquarium control system. However, the whole building is without electricity, so there is no power to unlock the electronic gates. So Miranda and her team's next stop is the shark tank, as the engine room is close by. When the team reaches the corridors, they find two sharks blocking the way. Although the animals aren't moving, Karen says that they are alive, so Miranda takes great care when passing them so as not to attract their attention. The senator follows in her footsteps and also manages to cross, but when Beth's turn comes, the woman is paralyzed with fear, so Daniel has to help her. Finally, Karen goes to meet her team, but as she is passing the second shark, she gets bitten on the leg and everyone comes together to help her free herself. After striking the animal with his axe, Daniel orders the group to flee and supports Beth as the woman has difficulty walking. While watching her friends through the security cameras, Clue is taken by surprise by the octopus, which sneaks up through the ceiling and attacks her. After sealing the wound on Karen's leg, Miranda realizes that Beth is not well and discovers that she is burning up. When she lifts her blouse, the woman reveals that she has a zombie starfish stuck to her abdomen, and Karen rushes to remove the creature. However, during the process, Beth ends up dying, and minutes later, Blackburn suffers the same fate as his secretary, as he is attacked by the octopus. When they arrive at the engine room, the trio discover that the place is completely flooded, and Miranda has to hang from the pipes to reach the generator. Suddenly, the octopus comes out of the water and tries to reach the scientist, but Clue appears to defend her, and while trying to hit the animal with the axe, she ends up falling into the tank. At this point, Miranda realizes that she has no choice but to continue her mission, and, on reaching the other side, she walks cautiously, so as not to be attacked by some monster hiding among the machines. When she approaches the generator, the woman presses the button and manages to re-energize the installation, causing all the doors to be unlocked. Seeing the octopus gliding towards her, Miranda begins to think of a plan to get rid of it and spots a loose power cable right in front of her. At that moment, she manages to pull it down and hits the mollusk, causing it to be eliminated by the electricity. After winning that battle, the trio make it to the exit and meet the firemen, who help Karen into the ambulance. While alone with Daniel, Miranda confronts him and orders him to tell the truth about what happened. After all he's been through, the man decides to come clean and reveals that Blackburn hired him to sabotage the aquarium because he was planning to sell the facility. When she hears this, the scientist is furious, having lost countless colleagues and animals that day. Before going to the police station to press charges against Daniel, Miranda attacks him with a punch and laments the fact that the work to which she has dedicated a large part of her life has been destroyed overnight. The movie ends here, so if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps.